Hello, gamers. So let's talk about Sandrone's kit. The other day, some stuff came out about Sandrone's kit, some early stuff. There are some things we still don't know, but Sandrone is a very highly anticipated character for me, and so I'm very interested to know what she does. Very first impressions, I am a little bit concerned, but let's talk about it. So here's what we know so far. Cryo on-field DPS. She is also a Claymore user, and apparently her charged attack is very similar to Neuvillette. We also have some information that she can't spin around super fast like Neuvillette can. I remember Neuvillette got a nerf after his release where they made it so you couldn't spin on him like crazy anymore, but then I think they reverted it after negative feedback. So if I had to guess, maybe it's something similar to that, where it's like sort of the nerfed Neuvillette. And it also seems like the rumors about Stellar Conduct and Sandrone reviving the Superconduct reaction are true, because it is heavily baked into her kit and her constellations. So here's what we know about Stellar Conduct so far. It's not that much, but we know that it does damage for Sandrone specifically. It could be similar to a Lunar Bloom situation where it is a reaction that can coexist outside of doing damage, like how Bloom just turns into Lunar Bloom. But you can also do Lunar Bloom damage in the case of like Llama's Hold E and Nefer's charge attacks do Lunar Bloom damage. So it could be something similar to that where Stellar Conduct can exist as a reaction that doesn't do damage, but on Sandrone specifically, she can do Stellar Conduct damage. We also know that Stellar Conduct, as of right now, gives a Cryo Electro damage bonus. They mention a certain percentage from what came out about it, but I feel like it's subject to change, so I feel like the number doesn't really matter, but it's not that big of a buff. And also something that is pretty concerning is there is no physical buff mentioned anywhere. And as we know, the already existing superconduct reaction is that it reduces physical resistance. And so far, the information we know doesn't say anything about physical, so it's possible that Stellar Conduct will not be trying to revive, Eula, for example. And I also wrote here that the artifact set implies a status effect / debuff. And the reason I put this is because the wording that is used on the new Superconduct set says, when the wearer attacks an enemy affected by Superconduct, their crit rate for that hit is increased by 16%. So this means we know that Superconduct / Stellar Conduct will stay as a debuff. It's not just going to be like Lunar Charge, for example, where it's just electrocharged but is like calculated differently and does more damage. So I feel as if it will still keep the physical resistance shred, but will possibly add some more effects to it, like the Cryo Electro damage bonus, if you have access to Stellar Conduct versus only Superconduct. And here is more specifically what Sandrone does in her kit. So she channels a Cryo Beam. Now, we don't know if it's going to look exactly like a Cryo Beam. It could, be something with like Polonia shooting a laser attack. And this laser attack intermittently does Stellar Conduct damage. And it has a overheatable gauge, so there will be a gauge similar probably to something like Night Soul, but instead of Night Soul going down, it's going to be like going up, and once you fill the meter completely, you will overheat and you won't be able to do your charge attack anymore, and your skill just reduces this heat, so just allows you to do your charge attack for longer. Her burst right now is really boring. It just does like 2 instances of damage. And also her signature weapon and constellations basically confirm that it's attack scaling, because there's a lot of attack buffs. And another really important thing to note is that we don't know her passives yet. And this could be very important because there are a lot of characters in this game where a ton of their power is baked into their passive or ascension talents. For example, someone like Escoffier right? If Escoffier's kit leaked and we didn't know anything about her passives or ascension talents, she would look like a very underwhelming cryo sub DPS. But, you know, once you actually know what her ascension talent does, all of a sudden she becomes one of the best freeze team supports in the game. So we don't have this information about Sandrone yet. We still do have some information though that it's most likely that she's not going to have any supportive capabilities or little to no supportive capabilities, and it's just going to be mostly a on-field DPS, which now we're going to just talk about what I personally think. I'm pretty disappointed in this design. I think it's really boring, and again, I know we don't know everything yet, but I think it's pretty safe to assume that she is just going to be a cryo on-field DPS and uses a new type of damage as well that will only be locked to her. I mean, maybe they will release, you know, some 4-star or some other 5-star support later on that is specific to Stellar Conduct. I mean, we know Diona is probably getting a new line in her C6 that increases Stellar Conduct damage. But yeah, I'm just really disappointed in this design. I was kind of hoping for more like a support type of vibe where she would enable some Electro and Cryo DPSs to do a lot better, to try to get them be a bit more relevant again. Characters like Yai or Raiden. This could have been a nice opportunity to sort of bring those characters up, you know, depending on what you expected from her. Maybe this is exactly what you want, and that's great if that's exactly what you wanted. Yeah, so what we know about it so far is pretty underwhelming. Her kit is just super uninteresting. It's just, you know, wow, cryo novelette, basically. And then what we know about Stellar Conduct is just does damage, most likely has the properties of normal superconduct, and then maybe has decent cryo electro damage bonus, which could change. So I am eagerly waiting to find out more because I am really hoping that something changes, which is extremely possible. This is very early information, so it is very subject to change still. But I just wanted to come on here and talk about this. Let me know what you guys think about this. Is this what you wanted? Did you want Sandrone to be like a crazy on-field DPS? Did you want her to be more of a support? Is this what you expected from Stellar Conduct? Let me know what you guys think. I will see you guys around. Bye bye.